Group of G20 International Relations. The 17th G20 summit concluded recently with the adoption of Bali Declaration. More on news. The motto for this G20 summit was Recover Together, Recover Stronger. Also, India took over the presidency of G20 from Indonesia. Key highlights of the Bali Declaration 2022. The group highlighted its differences in the ongoing war in Ukraine and asked for Russia's complete withdrawal from the territories of Ukraine. Group also reassured its commitment to secure global food security. The group welcomed the Black Sea Grain Initiative brokered by Turkey and UN. It is an MOU signed between Russia and the UN Secretariat to allow export from Russia and Ukraine on food products and fertilizers to ease the tension in the region. The group has welcomed the provision of additional financial resources to assist in financing critical gaps in implementing international health regulations. It also applauded the establishment of a new financial intermediary fund for pandemic PPR, the pandemic fund hosted by the World Bank. India's G20 presidency. The theme of India's presidency, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or One Earth, One Family, One Future. The theme affirms the value of all life on the planet Earth and spotlights lifestyle for environment, both at the level of individual lifestyles as well as national development. Logo. It draws inspiration from India's national flag. It juxtaposes planet Earth with the lotus, reflecting growth amid challenges. India has created a new working group on disaster risk reduction to encourage collective work by the G20. G20, a premier forum for international economic cooperation, founded in 1999 after Asian financial crisis as a forum for finance ministers and central bank governors to discuss global economic and financial issues. Annual summit held under leadership of a rotating presidency, no permanent secretariat. Past, present and incoming presidents, Troika support presidency. Importance of G20. 80% of global GDP, 75% of international trade, 60% of global population. G20 countries. Russia, Canada, Italy, France, Japan, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States of America, South Korea, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Indonesia, India, European Union, China, Brazil, Australia, Argentina. India's G20 priorities: green development, climate, finance and life; accelerated, inclusive and resilient growth; accelerating progress on SDGs; technological transformation and digital public infrastructure; multilateral institutions for the 21st century; women-led development. Quad. Fourth Quad leaders Tokyo Summit 2022 concluded. Key highlights of fourth Quad Summit. Quad nations agreed to create an Earth observation based on monitoring and sustainable development framework to combat illegal, unregulated and unprotected IUU fishing, portal to aggregate links to respective national satellite data resources, to extend over $50 billion USD of infrastructure assistance and investment in the Indo-Pacific over the next 5 years, strengthen the capacities of countries in need to cope with debit issues under the G20 common framework, also promote debit sustainability and transparency through Quad Debit Management Resource Portal. launched Quad Climate Change Adaptation and Mitigation Package QCHOMP with mitigation and adaptation as its two themes. Established Quad Partnership on Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief HADR in the Indo-Pacific to strengthen collaboration and effectively respond to disasters in the region. To initiate the first ever Quad Cyber Security Day to help individuals across Quad, the Indo-Pacific region and beyond to better protect themselves from cyber threats. Quadrilateral Security Dialogue Quadrilateral Security Dialogue about it is an informal strategic dialogue between Australia, India, Japan, USA. Australia, India, Japan and USA. It was first established in 2007 but was later revived in 2017. Objective: the primary objective of the grouping is of working for a free, open, prosperous and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. It is meant to deepen economic, diplomatic and military ties among the four countries. It is not a military alliance. Other key information: China has expressed concerns over the Quad, viewing it as an attempt to contain its rise as a global power and exert influence in the region. United Nations Human Rights Council UNHRC. Why in news? UNGA adopted a resolution suspending Russia from the UNHRC over its war in Ukraine. More on news. UNGA by a 2/3 majority of the members present and voting may suspend the rights of membership in the council of a member of the council. Abstentions do not count and the resolution requires 2/3 of yes or no votes to be adopted. Before Russia, Libya was the last member to be suspended in 2011. What are human rights? These universal rights are inherent to us all, regardless of nationality, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language or any other status. They range from the most fundamental, the right to life, to those that make life worth living, such as the rights to food, education, work, health and liberty. Universal Declaration of Human Rights UDHR, adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948, was the first legal document to set out the fundamental human rights to be universally protected. UDHR, together with the two covenants, make up the International Bill of Rights. They are International Covenant for Civil and Political Rights and International Covenant for Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. UN Human Rights Council. About it is an intergovernmental body within the United Nations system made up of 47 states. It reports directly to the General Assembly. It receives substantive and technical support from the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, an office within the UN Secretariat. Its decisions, resolutions and recommendations are not legally binding. It replaced the former Commission on Human Rights, which operated from 1946 to 2006. Commission on Human Rights was created in 1946, a subsidiary body of the UN Economic and Social Council. Mandate: to prevent and combat human rights violations, to make recommendations thereon, to promote and coordinate the mainstreaming of human rights within the UN system. Manages the Universal Periodic Review, a process through which each UN member states' overall human rights record is reviewed. Status of India: in October 2021, India was re-elected to the UNHRC for a sixth term, 2022 to 2024. Eligibility: all UN members are eligible to run for a seat on the council. Countries are nominated by their regional groups and elected by the General Assembly through secret ballot with an absolute majority required. The General Assembly takes into account the candidates' states' contribution to the promotion and protection of human rights. Term: 3 years and are not eligible for immediate re-election after serving two consecutive terms. If a council member commits gross and systematic violation of human rights, the General Assembly may suspend membership with a 2/3 vote of members present. India France. Why in news? Indo-French dialogue on bilateral defense cooperation concludes in Paris. India-France relations. Key facts. India has trade surplus with France and bilateral trade stood at nearly $8 billion. International Solar Alliance ISA is joint initiative of both countries launched during COP21 to promote solar energy. Defense cooperation. India purchased Rafale aircraft and signed a contract for 6 Scorpene submarines P-75 project from France. Both sides carry out 3 biennial training exercises, namely Garuda Air Force, Varuna Navy and Shakti Army. Garuda means Air Force, Varuna means Navy and Shakti means Army. Two countries has signed the agreement regarding the provision of reciprocal logistics support. India and France signed an agreement for cooperation for India's first human space mission Gaganyaan. India is a member of International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor ITER, a multinational consortium formed to construct an experimental fusion reactor located in Cadarache, France. Both signed a civil nuclear agreement in 2008. India joined the French-led initiative called the High Ambition Coalition for Nature and the People, which aims at protecting at least 30% of the world's lands and oceans by 2030. Both countries are members of multilateral organizations like G20, UN, Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, etc. India, Europe. India, European Union. Why in news? India and the European Union concluded the first round of negotiations of bilateral trade and investment agreements. More about news. Talks on BTIA, the Free Trade Agreement FTA, was resumed after a gap of about 9 years. Since the earlier negotiations were left off in 2013 due to difference in the scope and expectations from the deal. FTA involves agreements on trade, investments and geographical indications. Significance of India to European Free Trade Agreement. It will help Indian exporters gain competitive advantage in EU markets while helping domestic manufacturers get cheaper access to imports from European Union. European Union is considered India's main source of technology transfer and development. Free Trade Agreement will provide a boost to Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat's initiative. European Union is also looking for a large market as intra-European Union trade remains stagnant and trade with the UK shrinks. India and European Union. India's bilateral trade with the European Union amounted to $116.36 billion in 2021 to 22. Besides the Free Trade Agreement, negotiations were also launched for a standalone investment protection agreement and a geographical indicators agreement. GI Pact will establish a transparent and predictable regulatory environment to facilitate trade of GI products. Both sides have agreed to institute the European Union India Trade and Technology Council for strengthening economic and technological ties. India and the European Commission agreed to launch India European Trade and Technology Council (TTC). This strategic coordination mechanism will allow both partners to tackle challenges at the nexus of trade, trusted technology and security, and thus deepen cooperation in these fields between European Union and India. First for India, second for European Union. After the US to European Union TTC of 2021, TTC signifies enhanced political value of India in uncertain global strategic environment. Know the term. Investment Protection Agreement. IPA is an agreement with reciprocal undertakings to promote and protect private investments made by nationals of the signatories in each other's territories. European Union EU. About it is a political and economic union of 27 sovereign European member states. It was created by the Maastricht Treaty 1993. Objective: to promote peace, follow the European Union's value and improve the well-being of nations, establish an internal market, protect and improve the quality of the environment. Members: Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Poland, Sweden, Belgium, Austria, Ireland, Denmark, Finland, Romania, Czech Republic, Portugal, Greece, Hungary, Slovakia, Luxembourg, Bulgaria, Croatia, Lithuania, Slovenia, Latvia, Estonia, Cyprus. Other European institutions: European Council, European Parliament, European Commission. European Council brings together the head of state or government of every European Union country and decides on the political direction of the EU. European Parliament: only directly elected institutions of the European Union together with the Council. The European Parliament has legislative power, preparing and adopting the European Union laws, but no power to initiate legislation. European Commission: European Union's politically independent executive arm. It is responsible for drawing up proposals for new European legislation, and it implements the decisions of the European Parliament and the Council. Other key information: the United Kingdom, a founding member of the European Union, left the organization in 2020. Founding member of the European Union, United Kingdom, left the organization in 2020. Euro area: countries adopted euro as currency. Numbers: 20 EU European Union member states. Croatia is latest to join in 2023. European Union has its own flag, anthem and motto: United in diversity. United in diversity. Indo-Pacific region: Solomon Islands, East Timor, Federated States of Micronesia, Kuril Islands. Solomon Islands, capital Hondlara. Context: a recent document revealed that Solomon Islands and China reached a deal for an unprecedented level of security cooperation. Physical location: Solomon Islands are an archipelagic state in Melanesia, located in southwest Pacific Ocean. Neighbors: it is situated to the southeast of Papua New Guinea and to the northwest of Vanuatu. Next, Federated States of Micronesia, FSM, capital Palikir. Federated States of Micronesia is experiencing an outbreak of COVID-19 after 2.5 years of successfully protecting itself from the virus. Political boundaries: it is a sovereign island nation and an associated state of the United States, divided into 4 island states: Chuuk, Kosrae, Ponape and Yap. Maritime neighbors: Marshall Islands, Palau, Papua New Guinea and Guam. Guam. East Timor, capital Dili, Delhi. Context: ASEAN has agreed in principle to admit East Timor as the group's 11th member. ASEAN. East Timor is officially called the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. Location: Southeast Asia, on the southernmost edge of the Indonesian archipelago, northwest of Australia, bordered by Indonesia in west. Fiji, capital Suva. Context: Sitwini Rabuka became Fiji's prime minister. Situated in the South Pacific, Fiji is referred to as 300 Islands in the Sun. 300 Islands in the Sun. It is an island group located in ocean between Hawaii and New Zealand. 3 biggest islands: Vitilevu, Vanalevu and Taveuni. Kuril Islands. As per Japan, the disputed islands are illegally occupied by Russia. Japan have called these islands the Northern Territories, while Russia calls them the Southern Kurils. Japan claims that Iturup, Kunasir, Shikotan, Habomai Islands in Kuril Islands chain. Location: chain of volcanic island archipelago stretches across the Pacific Ocean and from the Japan's Hokkaido to the southernmost tip of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. It separates the Sea of Okhotsk from the Pacific Ocean. Fiji capital Sitvie Rabuka became Fiji's Fiji's prime minister. Situated in the South Pacific, Fiji is referred as 300 islands in the sun. ASEAN has agreed in principle to admit East Timor as the group's 11th member. East Timor capital DILI. Bay of Bengal. Recently, Nalanda University has launched a multidisciplinary research center for Bay of Bengal studies on occasion of World Maritime Day 29th September. Opening of CBS was Center for Bay of Bengal Studies was announced by India at 4th BIMSTEC BOB Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation Summit in Nepal in 2018. CBS will offer collaborations in areas such as geoeconomics and geopolitics, ecology, trade and connectivity, maritime security and law, cultural heritage and blue economy to generate opportunities for Bay region. This will strengthen India's overall framework for maritime engagement. Initiative taken by India with respect to BOB. Indian Ocean Naval Symposium IONS. It is led by Indian Navy that provides a platform for military leaders of region to discuss regional challenges, for example terrorism, piracy, etc. Naval exercise. India hosts exercise Milan, a biennial naval exercise among the littoral navies of BOB, Southeast Asia and the Indian Ocean community to enhance better understanding among navies of the region. Wide shipping agreements. It allows for exchange of information on commercial shipping. India currently has wide shipping agreements with Bangladesh, Myanmar and Sri Lanka and has ongoing conversations to sign the agreement with Thailand and Indonesia. Tsunami warning system. National Tsunami Early Warning Center been set up at INCOIS, Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, Hyderabad, to provide early warning in case of tsunami and avoid devastation caused by 2004 tsunami. Project Mausam, initiative of Ministry of Culture to collaborate with several countries of Indian Ocean region to understand the knowledge and manipulation of monsoon winds in pre-modern period. Chabahar Port. Recently, India observed Chabahar Day, where India and Iran reviewed the progress of Chabahar Port and the INSTC transcontinental trade route. More about Chabahar Port. Chabahar Port is located in Sistan and Balochistan province in the southeastern part of Iran on the Gulf of Oman. It is the only deep sea port in Iran with direct ocean access. Its geographic proximity to countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan and India, as well as its status as a key transit center on the burgeoning international north to south transport corridor INSTC. India, Afghanistan and Iran signed a deal to establish the International Transport and Transit Corridor Chabahar Agreement in 2016. This involved construction of a rail line from Chabahar Port to Jahedan along the border with Afghanistan and linking it to the Zaranj to Dilaram Highway as an alternative trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Zaranj to Dilaram Highway in Afghanistan is a 215 km long highway that was already built in Afghanistan through assistance provided by India. India aims to make Chabahar Port a transit hub under the International North to South Transport Corridor INSTC to reach out to CIS countries. Gulf Cooperation Council. India's bilateral trade with Gulf Cooperation Council GCC grows at rapid pace pace, grows at rapid pace. Significance of India GCC relations. Trade and commerce. GCC is currently India's largest trading partner bloc with bilateral trade in financial year 2021 to 2022 valued at over 154 billion US dollars. India GCC does not have a free trade agreement. India GCC does not have a free trade agreement. GCC along with Iraq accounted for nearly 1/5 of India's total trade in 2021 to 2022. Energy security. GCC's substantial oil and gas reserves are of utmost importance for India's energy needs. Saudi Arabia and UAE are the leading sources of crude oil imports for India. Remittance. GCC countries accounted for more than 50% of total remittance flow into India. Expatriate population. UAE, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait together account for over half of all non-resident Indians, NRIs. Two-state solution. Why in news? At a recent UNSC session, India asserted that long peace in Israel and Palestine can be achieved through negotiation on the two-state solution. About two-state solution, it means that an independent sovereign Palestine state and an independent sovereign Israeli state would coexist in peace. Two-state solution was agreed upon 1991 during US mediated Madrid Peace Conference. India's Israel to Palestine policy. India voted against the creation of Israel in historic Palestine in 1947 in the UN General Assembly. During the Cold War era, India remained a strong supporter of Palestinian freedom, taking a moral and legal position against the Israeli occupation in line with the international laws and norms. India established full diplomatic relations with Israel in 1992. Since 2018, India is adopting a de-hyphenation policy, which meant that India's relationship with Israel would stand on its own merits, independent and separate from India's relationship with Palestine. India Vietnam. India and Vietnam signed mutual logistics agreement. More on news. India and Vietnam have signed a logistic support pact to allow militaries of both sides to use each other's bases for repair and replenishment of supplies. The MOU on mutual logistics support is the first such major agreement that Vietnam has signed with any country. Other major agreements: Joint Vision Statement on Defence Partnership towards 2030 to enhance the scope and scale of existing defence cooperation. Early finalization of the $500 million defence line of credit extended to Vietnam. India's defence minister visited Tran Queque Pagoda, a revered Buddhist temple, which reaffirmed age-old civilizational and people-to-people linkages. India-Vietnam relations key facts. Bilateral trade between India and Vietnam is nearly 11 billion US dollars. India supports Vietnam through a number of programs such as Mekong Ganga Project, Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation, ITEC and EITEC initiatives, etc. India and Vietnam closely cooperate in various regional forums such as ASEAN, East Asia Summit, Mekong Ganga Cooperation, Asia-Europe Meeting, ASEM, besides UN and WTO. Cultural convergence. Buddhist monks Mahajavaka and Kalyana Kurere are credited with establishment of Buddhism in Vietnam during 2nd century BC. Mahatma Gandhi and Ho Chi Minh, regarded as the father of nation in India and Vietnam respectively, led people in their heroic struggle. India and its neighbors. West Sethi Dam, Nepal. Lumbini, Nepal. Gogra Hot Spring Area. Darbuk Shiok Dalaut Beg Odia Road, Leh. Pangong TSO. Pangong TSO Lake. Grassland Lake in Tibetan. Shinkula Pass, Ladakh. Manala, Mana Pass, Uttarakhand. Nepinchu Tunnel, Nechipihu, Nechipu Tunnel, ikkada Assam. India Maldives. Recently, India Maldives signed six agreements in the area of cyber security, disaster management, social housing, etc. to maintain stability in the Indian Ocean region. Other recent developments: India announced $100 million fresh line of credit for the Greater Mail Connectivity Project. GMCP is an Indian funded infrastructure project to link Mail with its nearby islands of Willingli, Gulhi Falhu, Tilafushi. Both countries have signed a security cooperation pact with a credit line from India for capacity building in the maritime domain. Maldives is part of the Colombo Security Conclave initiated by India, which envisages peaceful cooperation in the Indian Ocean along with Sri Lanka and Mauritius. National College for Policing and Law Enforcement. National College for Policing and Law Enforcement, India's largest grant project in Maldives, was recently inaugurated in Addu City, Maldives. Maldives present issues decree banning India Out campaign. India Out campaign was regarded as an organized campaign that aims to disrupt relations between the two countries by inciting unrest. One of the reasons for this was cooperation between two sides in 2021 to develop a harbor on the Utru Tilafalhu atoll for the Maldivian Coast Guard, as it was rumored that there were Indian military personnel stationed there. India and Maldives relation key facts. India is Maldives' second largest trading partner. Bilateral trade crossed the $300 million mark for the first time in 2021. Maldives has a special place in India's neighborhood first policy. India to Maldives resolved the politically contentious issue over Minicoy Islands through the Maritime Boundary Treaty of 1976, recognizing Minicoy as a part of India. In 2016, India Maldives signed a comprehensive action plan for defense. Equivalent is a major joint military exercise between the Indian and Maldives Army. Maldives is also part of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. India Nepal. India Nepal link 8 packs. Key decisions under the packs: railways, cross border railway line linking Jayanagar in Bihar to Kurta in Nepal, the first broad gauge passenger rail link between the two sides. Power. India handed over the Solu corridor, a 90 km 132 kilowatt power transmission line built under an Indian line of credit. Inaugurated the Kataya to Kushaha and Raxaul to Parvanipur cross border power transmission lines. Both sides will expedite implementation of the Pancheshwar multi-purpose project. Connectivity. Linked an agreement for the construction of a bridge over the river Mechi, part of the Asian Development Bank South Asian Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation Road Connectivity Program. Nepal joined India-led International Solar Alliance. Launched India's RuPay card in Nepal. RuPay is live in Bhutan, Singapore and the UAE also. Other recent developments: India International Center for Buddhist Culture and Heritage. Indian PM laid foundation of India's International Center for the Buddhist Culture and Heritage by International Buddhist Confederation IBC, India in Lumbini, Nepal. Sister cities. India and Nepal agreed in principle to establish sister city relations between Lumbini, birthplace of Lord Buddha, and Kushinagar, deathplace of Lord Buddha. Saptakoshi Dam Project. India and Nepal agreed to take forward Saptakoshi High Dam Project on Saptakoshi River to control floods in southeast Nepal and northern Bihar and to generate hydropower. India is also involved in other projects such as the Mahakali Treaty 6480 megawatts, the Upper Karnali project 900 megawatts, and the Arun 3 projects 900 megawatts in western and eastern Nepal respectively. West Sethi and Sethi River SR6 projects. Memorandum of Understanding MOU was signed between Nepal and India to develop the West Sethi and Sethi River projects, a tributary of Karnali River which was abandoned by China. MOU with Nepal on biodiversity conservation, transboundary protected areas TPA with Nepal, for example, Kanchenjunga Conservation Area located in the northeast corner of Nepal near the border with India and Tibet. Terai Arc landscape spread across the Indian states of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and the low-lying hills of Nepal. Sacred Himalayan landscape whose 74% area falls in Nepal, 25% falls in Sikkim of India and the remaining hills in Bhutan. India-Nepal relations key facts. India and Nepal share an approximately 1800 km long open border running along West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar and Sikkim. India-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1950 forms the bedrock of the special relations between India and Nepal. Nepali citizens in India, nearly 8 million, avail facilities and opportunities on par with Indian citizens in accordance with the provisions of the treaty. India is the largest trading partner of Nepal. Bilateral trade is more than $8 billion, US dollars. India provides assistance to the Nepalese army in its modernization and conducts joint exercise Surya Kiran. Energy cooperation. Power exchange agreement since 1971 for meeting the power requirements in the border areas. South Asia's first cross-border petroleum products pipeline are funded by India, connecting Motihari in India to Amalkiganj in Nepal. Swami Vivekananda Center for Indian Culture in Kathmandu, the best of Indian culture, showcases the best of Indian culture. Both countries cooperate on multilateral platforms like BBIN, BIMSTEC, Non-Aligned Movement, SAARC, etc. Border dispute. Kalapani, a tri-junction between Nepal and China, is in India's control, but Nepal claims the region because of historical and cartographic reasons. One country, two systems. China marked on the 25th anniversary of Hong Kong's return and emphasized Beijing's control over Hong Kong under One Country, Two Systems OCTS. Background of One Country, Two Systems. It was originally proposed to unify China and Taiwan but rejected by Taiwan. The idea resurfaced when China started talks with Britain and Portugal, who were governing Hong Kong and Macau respectively as colonies, about One Country, Two Systems. Under this, China proposed that Hong Kong and Macau can have different economic and political systems from that of mainland China while being part of China. Both regions became special administrative regions of China with their own currencies, economic and legal systems. However, defense and foreign affairs would be decided by China. Also, Hong Kong has freedom of assembly and speech and some democratic rights which are not available in mainland China. These freedoms are protected by the Basic Law, a mini constitution that guides relationship between Hong Kong and China. Basic Law is valid for 50 years till 2047 for Hong Kong and 2049 for Macau, but it is unclear what will happen after this term. British had taken control of Hong Kong in 1842. After the first Opium War in 1898, Britain and China signed convention which allowed the British to take control of the islands surrounding Hong Kong lease for 99 years. Macau on the other side had been ruled by the Portuguese from 1557. In 1980s, China initiated talks with both Britain and Portugal for the transfer of two territories. Hong Kong returned to Chinese control in 1997 and Macau's sovereignty was transferred in 1999. Indus Water Treaty. India issued a notice to Pakistan to modify Indus Water Treaty. More on news. The notice opens up the process for making changes to the treaty for the first time since it was signed. India is seeking modifications in the treaty to make it easier for Pakistan to enter into intergovernmental negotiations within 90 days to rectify the material breach of Indus Water Treaty. The notice was issued in line with Article 12 Clause 3 of the treaty, which states the provisions of this treaty may from time to time be modified by a duly ratified treaty between two governments.